Welcome back to a different opinion. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content. If you have, please leave a like on the videos that you do enjoy. Leave a comment with your thoughts and your opinions as well. I mean, it's always welcome. Like, even if it's good, if it's bad. If you do dislike the videos as well, dislike the video. Like, it's great to see, input. And then also subscribe if you do want to see future videos. It's just a red button below. Today we got a little bit on China. So China expanding their military reach, similar to what America's doing, how they have kind of bases around a lot of the world, and how they're pretty much the peacekeepers, similar to what Russia's trying to do in some countries as well. Now China's finally expanding it, and they're going to be doing the same thing, which means more and more money is going to be pumped into their military machine, and it's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, with three countries pretty much doing this, three superpowers, it's very, very worrisome in my opinion. I mean, I don't want any countries doing it, to be honest. I'd rather just every country handle their problems within, but obviously some countries are right next to other countries and they get affected by these things. So other countries sometimes have to get involved. But so this one's here from the Sydney Morning Herald, just from yesterday. Xi Jinping, the president or whatever the heck he is these days of China, Xi expands China's military powers to defend interests abroad. To Singapore, Chinese President Xi Jinping has authorized an expansion of his country's military capabilities, giving the defense forces the power to protect its interests abroad. The order, which comes into effect on Wednesday, has been described by state media as a trial and focusing on expanding military operations other than war. The United States has had a similar program since 1993, and China's Academy of Military Science has had a proposal of enhancing the Chinese military's peacetime activities since Xi came to power in 2013. Xinhua reported that the six-chapter order would provide a legal basis for expanding the military's peacetime activities to protect property and maintaining national sovereignty, security, development interest, and regional stability. So interesting to see which countries they're going to go into first, really. The development is in line with Beijing's ambitions in the Pacific, where it recently acquired the power to defend its investments in Solomon Islands by force through a security deal with Honiara. It also comes as geopolitical tension with the US rise and threats towards Taiwan increase. Disputes over the Taiwan Strait have been marked by grey zone activities, including harassment of Taiwan's airspace by dozens of Chinese fighter pilots and cyber attacks on infrastructure in Taipei. I mean, it has been ramping up. A lot of times, what the experts are saying is China's flying their fighter pilots into the airspace of Taiwan to see how fast they react, to see how they react with what they react. Obviously, with the military drills going pretty much just across from Taiwan, and they're pretty much practicing what they'll be doing if they do invade Taiwan. It really makes you kind of worry. I mean, imagine if you live in Taiwan, you'd be like, dude, what do? We got this massive, massive country that pretty much wants to take you back. And obviously you don't want to give it up peacefully. And unfortunately, it's a very, very small island and, a lot of people will die. It's hopefully just never, never happens. Australia Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister Richard Marles had lunch with Japanese Defense Minister Nobuo Kishi on Tuesday in Tokyo for the first of two 90-minute meetings. The Taiwan Strait, the Pacific, Japanese-Australian military cooperation were expected to dominate the agenda. Given China's tactics, rising ambitions in the Pacific, and recent threats to Australia's aircraft in the South China Sea, Australian government officials remain wary of the depth of recent Chinese overtures, despite a meeting on Sunday between Miles and the Chinese Defense Minister Wei Fenghe. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was hopeful a positive meeting would lead to concrete steps. And then obviously we have this one here, just worded a bit different. If you do look at the Xi expands Chinese military powers to defend interests abroad. Xi announces plans to allow Chinese military to undertake special military operations abroad. And if we know now the definition of special military operations, it's pretty much just invading another country, right? Because look what Russia is doing to Ukraine, and on all Russian TV, they say it's a special military operation. Same with Turkey now, how they want to go into Syria again. They're just calling it a special military operation. The next thing will be China is going into a country for a special military operation. We're just defending our own assets in that country. A lot of countries have sold a lot of stuff to China. Like, for example, Australia, there's a few ports and things like that they actually sold to the Chinese. So they can pretty much technically, they might go and be able to defend that themselves now. And then yet again, Xi Jinping announces plans to allow Chinese military to undertake armed forces operations abroad. So it's just funny how you see the different kind of the ways they actually say the topic for this article. Very much different portrayed. And lastly, from Reuters, this was just from yesterday as well. China bank protests stopped by health codes turning red, depositors say. Shanghai, a protest planned by hundreds of bank depositors in central China seeking access to their frozen funds has been thwarted because the authorities have turned their health code apps red, several depositors told Reuters. So it's very, very interesting, this health code app, right? This is pretty much how they can control your life. Like, it's insane. Like, we don't understand that in the first world at all, like, because we have the amount of freedom and we still think we don't have enough freedom. But wait till you hear about this. The depositors were planning to travel to the central province of Henan this week from across China to protest against an almost 2-month block on accessing at least $178 million of deposits, which has left companies unable to pay workers and individuals unable to access savings. Isn't that insane? Like, not being able to access your own money or pay your workers. Rights groups have warned China could use its vast COVID surveillance infrastructure to stifle dissent. Without a green code on their smartphone app, citizens lose access to public transport, so you can't use it, and spaces such as restaurant, malls, as well as the right to travel across the country. They are putting digital handcuffs on us, said a depositor from Sichuan province surnamed Chen, who declined to use his full name for fear of government retribution, of course. Of course, you wouldn't want to give you a whole name. I mean, that would be onto you like a hawk. The Henan province, provincial government, the National Health Commission, and the Ministry of Public Security did not respond to requests for comment. After recent COVID outbreaks, some regions in China have asked travelers to register their plans online. A man surnamed Liu, who lives in Hubei province, found that his health code turned red on the morning of June 12th after he registered the day before to travel to Henan. It's just insane how your whole life can be controlled just by the government saying, no, you can't travel here anymore, you can't do that anymore. And I mean, we went through it ourselves in Australia, in America, how you couldn't even go to the gym or you couldn't go to your local pub or anything like that unless if you had your COVID jabs. So it's just insane that they got to live with it every day. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it would have been good to be able to see a protest happening there again, but obviously the government just shuts it down before it even starts. It's crazy the amount of power they have. But I'll digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you heard of stories like this before? What do you think about China maybe expanding as well? Kind of what the US, Russia, and that do in other countries. Worrying times, in my opinion. But yeah, leave a like if you liked the video. Dislike the video if you didn't like it. And subscribe to see my future videos. And thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.